Hello, word nerds. Welcome to the dictionary. My name is Spencer, and this is just me reading the dictionary. That's what it is. I hope it's good for you. Is it as good for you as it is for me? Probably not. Let's just get into the words. Oh, today is, I'm recording this on September 22nd, 7:39 a.m. in my work office. Yep, that's the day that I'm recording this. The first word in this episode is adding on to the last word in the last episode. So we have now embroidery. 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 Noun from the 14th century. 1a. The art or process of forming decorative designs with hand or machine needlework. Some people get super fancy with their embroidery. Maybe I need to find some cool examples and post those on social media at dictionarypod. Yeah, cool stuff. Very cool stuff. 1b. A design or decoration formed by or as if by embroidery. So the needlework, the stuff that they're doing is embroidery, and then the thing that they have created is embroidery. 1c. An object decorated with embroidery. So the thing that has embroidery on it is also called the embroidery. You are doing embroidery on embroidery with embroidery. 2. Elaboration by use of decorative and often fictitious detail. We saw this in the previous episode. Yes, it's not just about needlework. It's just about embellishing a thing, making it sound better than it is, more interesting, fantastical. I never do this. 3. Something pleasing or desirable, but unimportant. Something pleasing or desirable, but it's not important at all. We don't care about it. It's very nice, and we like it, but who cares about it? As in, considered the humanities mere educational embroidery. So are we saying here, like, the humanities or whatever this thing is that is embroidery, it's very pleasing to look at, like embroidery with needlework, but really it doesn't affect anything. It doesn't affect anybody in any important way. Are the humanities just embroidery? Is that what we're supposed to think here? What are the humanities, and why are they just embroidery? And who said this? This seems like this would have been a quote. Considered the humanities mere educational embroidery. Okay. Well, let's see. My sound effect, I'm going to go, wah. The next word is embroil. This is a transitive verb from 1603. 1. To throw into disorder or confusion. Everything is all up and confused. My brain is embroiled. To throw into disorder or confusion. Yes, it's very easy for my brain to get embroiled. 2. To involve in conflict or difficulties, as in embroiled in controversy. Last night we just watched the movie Dumb Money, and there were some people embroiled in controversy in that true story. Embroilment is a noun. Let's see. This is from Middle French. N plus broiler, which means to jumble. There's more at the word broil. So yeah, it's all about a jumble of things, lots of confusion and craziness. Wah! Next is embrown. Sorry for people who are watching the video, I have an itch on my eye. Yes, this is a word, embrown. It's a transitive verb from 1667. Number 1, the synonym is darken. Just making a thing darker is embrowning it. Who uses this? When does this get used? 2, to cause to turn brown. To cause to turn brown. You're making a thing turn brown, so you are embrowning it. It's a very silly word. Wah. Next is embryo, E-M-B-R-U-E, and it is a variation of I-M-B-R-U-E, because we need different spellings of the same word to make things complicated. Embryo. Wah. Next is the prefix embry or embryo, E-M-B-R-Y, or add an O at the end. This, we got to have a bunch of embryo-related words here. It just means embryo, okay? As in the example embryogeny, which of course is coming up soon. Okay, let's talk about the next word. Wah! Embryo. It's not a prefix, it's the actual word. The prefix embryo also means embryo. Noun from 1548, 1A. This one is archaic. A vertebrate at any stage of development prior to birth or hatching. So any living thing that has a spine, that's a vertebrate, right? They have a spine. At any stage of development, but before they're born. Before they're born, any of those stages of development, they're just called an embryo. But it's archaic. We don't use it that way anymore. Birth or hatching. 1B. An animal in the early stages of growth and differentiation that are characterized by cleavage, the laying down of fundamental tissues, and the formation of primitive organ and organ systems. Primitive organs, that's plural, and organ systems. Especially the developing human individual from the time of implantation to the end of the 8th week after conception. Okay, well, there was a lot of information here, but yes, it's basically the earliest stages, at least in the human, the earliest stages of this growth. So from the moment well, maybe not the moment, because it says implantation. So I think it's like the egg and the sperm meet, and then they start. It's a zygote or something. They start to do their thing, and then it gets implanted in the uterus, and so it's going to build this home there. So it sounds like the time of implantation, from the moment it's implanted into the uterus up until the 8th week, it's considered an embryo. And should I post a picture on social media of, it's going to change a lot over those 8 weeks, but maybe I can post a few pictures of that progress. But then also, any animal in the early stages of growth is called an embryo. It's cleaving. The cells are cleaving to multiply. There's the fundamental tissues all throughout the body. The early organ systems or early versions of the organs are all being created at this time. It's an embryo. And I'm not going to get into the whole thing about, is it alive? Is it not? Abortion? We're not going to get into that because, I'm just going to say I'm pro-choice. And I think for a whole lot of reasons that makes the most sense. Yeah, that's a whole big thing. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Okay, number 2. The young sporophyte of a seed plant, usually comprising a rudimentary plant with plumule, radicle, and cotyledons. I don't know what these words are. Plumule is P-L-U-M-U-L-E. Radicle is not radical, man. It's R-A-D-I-C-L-E. These are plant words. It's a young plant thing. That's what you gotta know. 3A. Something as yet undeveloped. Maybe my brain is still an embryo. Maybe this podcast is still an embryo because we're still trying to figure it out. It's never going to be fully grown until it's done, and then it's dead. What did I say? It's never going to be fully grown until it's done. Yeah, and then it's it. It's constantly growing, just like us humans. We're constantly growing and changing and evolving and figuring out our stuff. 3B. A beginning or undeveloped state of something, as in, this a quote, productions seen in embryo during their out-of-town tryout period. That is from Henry Hughes, Hewes. Productions seen in embryo during their out-of-town tryout period. So are these like stage productions? They're going out to put on their show with other people just to see how they go, and it's the early versions of these productions, and so they're embryos. So I mean, I think it's pretty clear that the whole embryo word is something early in development, and the prefix embry or embryo also means early in development. Oh, we have some etymology. We got to talk about that. This is from the Greek word embryon, which is from en plus bryein, which means to swell. So as something is growing, it's swelling, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger in general. Akin to the Greek word bryon, which means catkin. And I don't remember what a catkin is. Wow. Next word is embryogenesis. Embryogenesis, one word, noun from 1830. This is the formation and development of the embryo. This is the process that the embryo is going through, the creation of the embryo, the development, the formation. Embryogenetic is an adjective. So the how do you use this in a sentence? Embryogenesis. Will you say something is going through embryogenesis? Probably. You'd say the embryo is going through embryogenesis. Wow. Next is embryogeny. And I believe, yes, this was the example in the embryo prefix. So embryogeny is a noun from 1835. The synonym is just embryogenesis. And embryogenic is an adjective. So we have embryogenesis and embryogeny. They're the same thing. And then we have embryogenetic and embryogenic. Those also mean the same thing. Those are adjectives. Oh, English. I wonder so wait, embryogenesis was from 1830 and embryogeny was from 1835. There's only a 5-year difference? 5 years now which one? But it seems like embryogenesis is the one that stuck because it actually has the definition there. Then they added another word 5 years later-ish that didn't stick. Maybe they're just used in different contexts. I don't know. Okay. Wow. Next is embryoid. 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 This one is a noun from circa 1927. A mass of plant or animal tissue that resembles an embryo. How does it resemble an embryo, and why wouldn't it just be called an embryo? Is it not an early stage of a thing? It just looks like a thing that's like an embryo for animal or plant tissue? How does it resemble it? Does it just look like it? An embryoid? I don't know. Embryoid is also an adjective. Wow. Next is embryology. Embryology. This is a noun from circa 1847. 1. A branch of biology dealing with embryos and their development. So this is, biology is the study of living things, basically. And so you're studying specifically embryos and maybe plants and animals and how they develop it and what's going on in that process. And there's a whole lot. I mean, if you study embryology, are you studying all of the plants and animals and their embryonic form that are going through embryogenesis? Or maybe you're focusing on just humans or just echidnas. I mentioned echidna because that was the episode that aired today. Okay, so that's the branch of biology. Number 2, the features and phenomena exhibited in the formation and development of an embryo. So as an embryo is doing its thing, growing and forming, developing, the features and phenomena. So I guess the things that it's showing, maybe the creation of the face and the organs and the things that are happening, that is also embryology. Embryological is an adjective. Embryologically is an adverb. Embryologist is a noun. Sounds like a fascinating thing to study. Wow. Next is embryon or embryony or maybe embryony. So it's embryo with an N or an NI. This is a prefix, if I didn't say that, and it means also, again, the same. It's embryo, as in the example, embryonic. And, yep, now we're going to start talking about embryon words. Wow. This is embryonal. That's how you say this word. So it's embryo, N-A-L. Embryonal. Adjective from 1652. The synonym is the number 1 definition for the word embryonic, which is coming up real fast. Just wait. It's coming up real fast. Wow. Next is embryonated. Embryonated. That's how you say it, embryonated. Adjective from 1687. It just means having an embryo. So does that mean that this type of animal or plant has an embryo form when it's younger? So that type of animal or plant would be embryonated? Or does this mean, and I think this is more likely, that something has an embryo in it, they got a bun in the oven, they're pregnant, and so they would be embryonated. So I think that if you are talking to somebody who is pregnant, you should say that they are embryonated, and they will think that that's a fake word, but it's not, because all words are fake. So by all of them being fake, they're all true. Embryonated. Oh, can't wait to get embryonated. Okay. Wow. Next is embryonic. I just think it's back to embryonated. Why don't people say, oh, we're trying to get embryonated. We're embryonated. We're going to have an embryo. No, we don't say any of these things, but I think it would be funny if people did. What other way can people say embryonated? You embryonated me. I don't know. Okay, back to the next word, embryonic. This is an adjective from 1740. One, of or relating to an embryo. Just anything about an embryo. Its daily habits. Those would be embryonic. 2, being in an early stage of development. The synonyms are incipient and rudimentary, as in an embryonic plan. It's in the embryo stages. It's early. We're trying to figure it out. Embryonically is an adverb. Wah! Next is embryonic disc. 2 words. Disc is D-I-S-K. Noun from circa 1938. 1A, the synonym is blastodisc, which is 1 word, and disc is with a C there for some reason. Number 1B, the synonym is blastoderm. 2, the part of the inner cell mass of a blastocyst from which the embryo of a placental mammal develops. And this is called also embryonic shield. Embryonic shield. Okay, so it's the part of the inner cell mass of a blastocyst from which the embryo of a placental mammal develops. So it's a very specific part from where the embryo starts developing from. So, you got the egg cell, and I guess it's, if that's what we're talking about, maybe there's a specific part of that cell that is the embryonic disc, where all of this development starts. Yeah, I guess that's what it's saying. Wow. The last word is embryonic membrane. 2 words, noun from 1947. A structure, as the amnion, that derives from the fertilized ovum but does not form a part of the embryo. Derives from the fertilized ovum, but does not form. Okay, well, I think of an egg, from a chicken, say, or some other bird-like creature, or reptiles for that matter. So it's well, we could probably go back to the egg picture. Let's see, where is that? Here we go. Is the embryonic membrane in here? There are other membranes. There's the vitelline membrane or vitelline membrane. There's the outer shell membrane, the inner shell membrane. I'm not seeing specifically embryonic membrane, but maybe one of them turns into one of those other membranes, or the embryonic membrane turns into those. So it's I think it's the thing that's maybe going to help it grow, do something, protect it possibly, but it's not any part of the living thing. It doesn't. You don't keep this when you're born. It's disposed of in some form. Now, is it only in the birds and reptiles and the eggs, or is this also in the humans as well? I'm not entirely sure. I don't know nothing. Okay, well, it is time now to pick a word of the episode. We had embroidery, embroil, embrown, embryo, embryo, embryogenesis, embryogeny, embryoid, embryology, embryon, embryonal, embryonated, embryonic disc, and embryonic membrane. Okay, which one should I pick? By the way, if you want to say what you think the words of the episode should be, just based on your own opinion and life experiences, you can message me in any form you want. Dictionarypod@gmail.com is email. I got the X, I got the Twitter, I got the Facebook. Wait, X and Twitter are the same. I got the Instagram and the Facebook, and there's the Google Voice number, and I think any one of those is fine. But for me, I'm deciding between either embrown or embryonated. I think embrown is just a funny word. It's just funny that it exists in the first place, that we just have a word that means I'm gonna make that thing brown. I'm gonna embrown it. But I think I'm gonna pick embryonated because most of the words in this episode had to do with embryos, and I think it's just a fun way to say pregnant. I'm not pregnant, I'm embryonated. I'm embryonated because I'm pregnant. I got a bun in the oven. That makes me embryonated. That's the song. I personally am not embryonated. I don't have those parts, and so I will never be embryonated. Not that that's something that I would want to be ever anyway, but it's not physically possible at this moment in time. Embryonated. That's the word of the episode. And now that I finished all those word things, I'm going to talk about a movie thing. The Player. We watched The Player from 1992. And I think I had seen this many years ago, maybe like 20 years ago or so. Didn't really remember it that well, but I knew that it was about the movie industry, Hollywood, and it starts with this amazing one-shot, long single shot at the beginning. And what I didn't realize or remember is that the movie literally starts with the slate coming in, and they're just like, look we're making a movie, that we're showing you a little bit of a behind the scenes. We're showing you that this is all real. This is the take. It's like, I don't know, take 10 or take 5 or something. This is the take that we used for the film. This was the best one. And, it's just a little bit of a peek behind the curtain, which I really appreciated. And then I think it's either the very first words somewhere in there, maybe some of the first things that somebody says is they're talking about a very classic single shot in a different movie. And it's very meta in that way because they're doing a single shot and they're referencing the single shot, and maybe they're trying to one-up that single shot. I don't know. It was very fun, and the movie is great, and there's a lot going on, and it's definitely takes stabs at the Hollywood system and shows shows a lot about it, and I think it's maybe a little bit exaggerated, but also I don't think it's exaggerated at all, probably. In fact, it could be underrepresented. Yeah, it's like, that's how that world goes. And I just, yeah, it's a very interesting world, and I love it and I hate it. Even though I'm not part of it whatsoever, but maybe someday I will, but I don't want to be part of that side of things. I want to do it differently than the way that they're doing it. Anyway, go watch The Player. It's a good movie. This is the end of the episode. This has been Spencer dispensing information. Goodbye.